Well, it's an issue that's divided the nation, how to deal with violence committed by youths of African descent on the streets of Melbourne. But while politicians argue over why it's happened and how to fix it, another city is showing how it can be done.
Police believe a gang of African youths are to blame.
What happened in Melbourne was not good.
If Melbourne is a city divided, this is a community united.
If there is a war in Australia, we have to fight for Australia.
Kicking goals.
For these kids, I keep on telling them you have to work hard.
And dreaming big.
So doctor, policeman, NBA player.
Earning praise from the local mayor.
Well, we're finding them to be really good citizens.
Even winning the honour of Citizen of the Year.
I am, you are, we are Australian.
So what makes this place different? A city of just over 100,000 people that now has around 2,000 Sudanese refugees calling it home.
At a local scout hall under the gaze of the Queen, the South Sudanese community meet every month. Today we've been invited along, hoping to discover what they think of the problems in Melbourne.
What we see in the media, we don't like it. Particularly me, I don't like what I see in the media. I'm Sudanese, and I'm a proud South Sudanese, and I am an Australian citizen as well. And I'm a proud of Australia.
Deng lived in Sydney for 10 years before moving here to Toowoomba, an hour-and-a-half's drive west of Brisbane, and a place with no African gangs.
What's made Toowoomba such a success story?
Like the local people, they're very welcoming. And there's a lot of activities happening here, and it makes it easy for us to just integrate to the society.
These meetings are also used by Sudanese elders to try to solve any problems before they become big issues.
If there is any child who has gone wrong elsewhere, then the police will call me or call any of the elders. If you are called to that situation, you will know the child by name and even his parents.
Wak Duot is a 52-year-old Uber driver and local elder. In the 15 years he's lived in Australia, he's worked on farms, abattoirs and receives no payments from Centrelink. In his experience, the family structure is crucial in bringing wayward teens back on track.
If he goes to the streets, then there is nothing good there on the streets. It's only at the end you may end up with the prison.
At these meetings, everyone can share their opinion on possible solutions.
If any child drops out of school, they have to find what's the main cause, main reason for that child to drop out of school. Is it because they can't do their homework? Is it because of some element that are happening in the classroom?
Atem Jock is a prime example of how this community strives for education and employment.
Because without a job, one, you can't support yourself. Number two, if you don't have a job, you can't really tell your Sudanese or your background to other people to accept you, that you're not a criminal, because people these days are judgmental.
Atem arrived in Australia aged 16 without his parents. He finished high school, then university, and did a master's in engineering. He's now employed at the local council.
Welcome.
Hey, Paul.
How are you?
Today he's meeting Mayor Paul Antonio at City Hall, a world away from some of the violent scenes affecting Melbourne.
First of all, I'm sad about that because that's not happening here in Toowoomba.
Mayor Antonio says African refugees settle in well here because of the strong support networks and their work ethic.
Employment is critical, and I think that we need to make sure there are job opportunities given to these people, and that's a critical part of their integration.
I started with the farm work all the way to chinchilla, doing a rock melon picking.
Hard
work.
At this year's Australia Day Awards, Prudence Mellom was named Young Citizen of the Year. She was born in the African nation of Chad, and when she arrived in Toowoomba 10 years ago, couldn't speak English.
When I think about what it means to be Australian, I think of the song, "We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come."
Well, I got to confess, there were some tears in my eyes at the enthusiasm of this young lady for her new country.
You work hard when you have hope, but you work less when you don't care.
Mother of four, Achol runs her own hair salon and knows why she feels settled here.
In simple word, we feel included in this Australia community, especially in Toowoomba. We don't feel like excluded. We don't feel like, they're just Sudanese refugees.
Her friend Ime agrees. She says life in a big city makes it much harder to always watch your kids.
There are no trains here, so most of the time, parents drop their kids to places. People are aware of what they're doing.
They are shocked by what they've seen in Melbourne, but believe the language needs to change.
By calling them gang and teenage, you're giving them a credit. Like now they'll feel, I'm a gang now, you know? And that thing, I think, will encourage them to do more nasty things.
For both these mums, education is everything.
My kids have to contribute to economic prosperity of this country. This is their country.
It's a common theme throughout the Sudanese community.
These kids, they are not a Southern Sudanese kid. They are not African kids. They are Australia. If there is a war in Australia, we have to fight for Australia.
And many already work in part-time jobs.
They all work. I would say most of the teenagers work. Woolworths, Big W, Coles, Macca's.
How I speak at the moment, I've got a very strong African accent. But these kids, when you speak to them, they just speak like you. There's no difference.
11-year-old Grang is born and bred in Australia and loves going to school.
I just like how everyone is really nice there and how you can all have fun together.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to be a police officer.
You want to be a police officer, yeah?
His mates Amol and Arok have even higher ambitions.
Architect or an NBA player.
So doctor, policeman, NBA player.
Kind of NBA.
Oh, and NBA as well for you.
It's not as crazy as it sounds. Sudanese-Australian Thon Maker is already in the NBA with the Milwaukee Bucks.
And Maker again comes with the rejection.
The sport will encourage them to go and represent a country like Australia, because this is where we are now. We're not going back to our country.
We've got it going pretty well because of the kind of community we live in. The good people in this community who are giving their time, giving their all to make sure these people have a chance of integrating.
Great to see Toowoomba leading by example. The Mayor says it wouldn't be possible without the support of local organisations and police who've helped refugees integrate over the years. Stay with us on A Current Affair. We'll be back with more after the break.